Super Bowl. He was a multiple-time Pro Bowler. I don't know why I saw so much Greg Jennings footage this week. It was on First Things First. They were showing all his great catches. He has like 4 of them. And he is now joining me, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. That was so mean. I mean, that was really uncalled for. I'm such a jerk. No, I was watching all your video this week. So, I was saying this. After this weekend, Greg, we're at the halfway point of the season. And if you're a bad team, you don't want to be in quicksand. So nobody tanks in the NFL, but management decides to reboot and restructure sometimes. Have you ever been on a team? I looked this morning. I'm like Packers, Dolphins, Vikings. Were you ever on a team at the trading deadline that you kind of felt like they ain't worried about this season, they're worried about next season?
Not really. Not even the team that we had when I was down in Miami with the Dolphins. We were a bad team, but had a ton of good pieces. I think more or less it was more with the management of figuring out who the new head coach was going to be, that regime, and finding out what pieces worked and then trying to add pieces. But Miami has been trying to add pieces for years, and I think that they've finally gotten to the point where they feel really good about where they are. But I've never really been on teams where we've had to change directions mid-season.
Yeah. It's interesting this week. We've seen Burrow and Herbert come out and been very, very good. They're not winning a bunch of games. They both combined have 2 wins, both over the Jags. And I said about Tua, I said, let's just be reasonable here. 18 for 30, 1 TD, 1 pick, mostly feels in control. I don't care if he wins or loses. That to me is fair. Is there anything you would see with Tua this weekend, Greg? And you'd be like, oh, I don't like that. That's not good. What do you need to see?
For me, it's like you said, it's poise, it's control of the game. It's that maturation from first quarter to the fourth quarter, and then game management, how he manages the game, how he controls the huddle, how he commands the huddle, and the guys around him that's going to be listening to him when it comes to play calls, what he looks like at the line of scrimmage. Does he look and appear to be in control, and that he's identifying what the defenses are presenting in front of him? Those are the little things that, from a coaching perspective, and even as a teammate, that you want to know your young quarterback has under wraps.
Yeah. I said at the trading deadline, Seattle gets Carlos Dunlap. The Eagles and the Rams over the last few years have been very aggressive teams. And Green Bay tends to be, we're going to draft our players, develop them. It's like this Midwestern ethos. We're going to buy a used car and pay down our bills, and we're going to be responsible. And I said to myself the other day, I said, listen, go get Will Fuller. I don't know if he's going to be great, but I got Devontae Adams gets nicked up more than occasionally. I'm watching Seattle's defense now get better with Carlos Dunlap, a very good, smart veteran player. He's worth a sack every other game. And I think to myself, I don't know if Will Fuller is perfect or Amari Cooper's kind of expensive, but I kind of feel Aaron Rodgers is 37 in a month. I kind of feel like you owe it to him. Do you think they'll do it? Do you think they should do it?
It's tough. This is always challenging because it's kind of like having friends or being in the locker room and you see somebody pull up with a new car and all of a sudden you kind of want a new car, but you really shouldn't do it. It's like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You see them adding insurance policies when they go and get Antonio Brown, and they already have a plethora of skill guys in your Green Bay, and you have a similar type of quarterback who is aging and who is kind of on the downslope, but his downslope is a little slower than Brady's.
Right.
And it's like, we got to capitalize. We got to take advantage of this. You mentioned Will Fuller. For me, I don't really care for the Will Fuller acquisition if they chose to go that route, simply because you're talking about injuries with Devontae Adams and him being on and off the field. You know what he provides when he's healthy. But I need consistency and availability. And Will Fuller has shown that he has been unavailable at times. A guy that I would love to see added to this roster is a guy that's going to really add to what they do, and that's Golden Tate. He's in a situation in New York where if they're not doing anything, they're not going anywhere, they're not playing for any playoff berth or anything like that. He's an older guy. He wants to win. He can provide you the ability to run the routes in the slot as well as on the outside. Understands the game of football, played in cold weather, played in all different climates.
Hmm.
I like Golden Tate added to this team. And again, people will say, well, the defense is what needs the attention. In today's game, with as many points as these offenses are putting up, you have to be able to continue to score the football.
Yeah.
And for me, with Aaron Rodgers and his ability to spread the ball around and utilize weapons, give him as many weapons as you can possibly give him at his disposal.
That's pretty interesting. The Giants already have Sterling Shepard, who's kind of like Golden Tate but younger. So,
Exactly.
So that's really interesting. So we have a game this weekend. It's fascinating. In the last 20 years, the Steelers and Ravens have combined for 30 playoff wins and 4 Super Bowls. So when you were with Green Bay, it was an excellent organization. And it's unrealistic to expect professional athletes. Every game feels huge. You're human beings. But there's 3 or 4 games on a schedule a year, and maybe a rivalry game, Greg, that you were in. Maybe it's the Bears. Maybe it's the Vikings. And to me as a fan, I'm more into it. I think to myself, oh, God, the players have to be so into it. Steelers, Ravens, go back to your Green Bay career or Minnesota. Were there a couple of games a year that feel different, and did it change your preparation? Did it change your focus? Did you play well in those games?
So to answer those questions kind of sporadically. So did it change my preparation? It didn't. It heightened my awareness of who they were and what they could do and where they would end up at the end of the season. And I think when you're talking about these types of games, Steelers, Ravens, Green Bay, Chicago, when they were good, when we were playing, they were measuring sticks during the regular season. The Seattles, the 49ers, teams like that, you measured where you were as a team because you knew those types of teams were going to be there at the end of the season, probably in the playoffs, and you would have to face them. So you wanted to see where you measured up. If you were better, if you weren't there yet, if you were kind of even keel, like these games were very important, which is why we look at Cleveland with what they've done against the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Ravens, and we're like, they're not quite there yet. But this game, when you're talking about Lamar Jackson and you're talking about Ben Roethlisberger, who wasn't involved in this rivalry last season, it's a huge game for Lamar Jackson to measure up and understand that, look, this is the type of team we're going to have to face and beat in the playoffs if we want to accomplish what we've set out to accomplish, which is bring home the Lombardi Trophy.
Finally, listen, Tampa Bay doesn't need receivers. They go get Antonio Brown. We know his past. Joy and I have been like, we're going to assume it doesn't work because the last couple of stops, it doesn't work. Would you have made the deal? Well, let me ask you this. As a receiver on that team, because you're like Mike Evans, you have a better career than like those guys right now, obviously, but you were a star receiver in the league. You don't need receivers. And then they bring in AB. How does it not disrupt the locker room a little? A little?
Yeah, you question it as a receiver, especially if you don't have a relationship with the receiver that's being acquired. It's like, wait, we have enough weapons. And then selfishly, Colin, you're thinking, that's going to take away from what I already don't get. Even though this is being honest, even though you want to win, you know what you provide helps the team and adds value and allows us to actually be in the win column even more if I get opportunities. That's just the way receivers think. But in this situation, I understand why Tom Brady is so gung-ho about Antonio Brown, and they went after him. When you look at Tom Brady's career, he's never really had that relationship with the 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" plus receivers that they've just been able to run every single route, and they've been his go-to guy. Randy Moss is the only guy that really stands out that had the height and the speed and could just blow the top off. Every other receiver that we've seen Tom Brady thrive with could run the route tree to perfection. The Edelmans, the Welkers, guys like that. And I think that's what's so intriguing about this. And again, Antonio Brown knows what he's getting himself into as well. He sees the skill guys that this team already possesses. So he has to be, if he's making the choice to go here, he's also mindful of, okay, I know I'm not going to get 12 targets a game. I understand that it's not going to be what it once was. I'm here because I really want to win, and I want to win with the guy they have at quarterback because I know he's capable of providing that for me. And when you're 32 years old and you've allowed things and opportunities to kind of slip through your hands, you cherish them a little differently when you have another one that is sitting in your lap.
Fox Sports NFL analyst. Do you have a game this weekend, Greg? Are you doing a game? I'm looking here, right here.
I'm off this weekend, but I got Seattle and Buffalo next weekend.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Greg Jennings, Fox Sports. Great seeing you, man.
I appreciate it.
You bet.
Joy, great costume.
Yes.
Thanks.
Great costume for our radio listeners on Fox Sports Radio. Turn to the TV. Now, for Joy, as you've said, this is your biggest holiday.
Yes, this is my high holiday. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's my favorite.
Okay.
It's just fun.
My wife likes Thanksgiving.
I love Thanksgiving. I love Christmas. I love 4th of July. I love New Year's. Halloween's just fun. And I'm a little insane. So this is where I can thrive and everyone thinks it's normal.
Blazing 5, top of the hour. Coming up, why after this weekend, I mean, the toughest decision this weekend is going to be made by John Elway. What? I'll explain coming up next. You want a 12-ounce ribeye? Don't have to buy the cow. Want to go fly on a plane? Don't have to buy the plane or the row. Just buy a seat. Why are you paying for unlimited data for your cell phone if you only need 2 gigs? And this is how the big carriers like Verizon, they hook you, like T-Mobile, AT&T. They charge you obscene monthly fees for data you'll never need and perks you'll never use. It's why you need to switch to Pure Talk USA. Only charges you for the data you need. They're on the exact same towers. You get the same great coverage. You'll never have to change your phone. You don't have to change your number. Unlimited talk, unlimited text, and 2 gigs of data, just $20 a month. The average person saves up to $400 a year. So right now, I'm going to give you additional savings. I'm going to give you 50% off your first month. How? Grab your phone and dial pound 250 and say Colin Cowherd. Dial pound 250 and say my name, Colin Cowherd, Pure Talk USA.